This is an origin reading for inner fire. So when I retrieve the code name, I always surround the person I'm reading in protective space. I just visualize the protective energy going around them, and I do that through the picture that they send. In your case, and I've never had this happen before, I kept feeling the weirdest thing, like I don't want to touch your aura. There's just this weird feeling. Like I'm not supposed to touch your aura. And then I'm going, what is that? Because like I said, I've never had that before during a reading. I always just visualize the room and myself surrounded in protective space, and then I visualize the person surrounded in protective space. And also I pick up on blocks and things as I'm doing that. But with this, there was just the weirdest vibration, and then your guides come up, and then they're just surrounding you in the energy. I have had guides come up before and surround the person in the energy, but sort of like as I was visualizing. In this case, I wasn't supposed to visualize at all. I'm just being shown that you're being put in the protective space, and then all of a sudden I feel myself being put in like another, because I had already visualized protective space around myself, but now I'm feeling them putting protective space around me as well. And your guides have a very intense energy. There's a female that keeps coming in who has some very intense energy. And these energies feel, I want to say angelic, but there's something, I don't know, there's different types of angels, or there's like an angelic frequency, right? But you can have a Pleiadian who's on an angelic frequency, but they're from the Pleiades. Or you can have a Syrian on an angelic frequency. So there's like angelic frequency sort of dimensions or places, but they're not strictly angelic. They're angelic with some other kind of vibration in there from whatever planet they're on or dimension they're from. She almost feels a little bit fairy-ish, kind of, because she's got this like kind of, I don't know what the word is, like pizzazz or something. Fire. That's the word, fire. I almost felt like when she was saying inner fire, I felt like partially that was a reference to herself, not only you. Why does this feel all of a sudden like a higher aspect of you? This is almost feeling like somehow a higher aspect of you, but at the same time, it feels like a guide. Okay, I gotta figure out what's going on here. Okay, I'm gonna start with the crystals that I drew for this reading. That's where I usually start. And since I can't surround you in the protective space and start the reading with any blocks that I was picking up on, which is the normal way that I usually start, I'm going to go ahead and get into the crystals. Okay, so I have my obsidian here, and I have tektite. And I also have my purple fluorite. And I have, this is a jasper. I'm not sure exactly what type of jasper this is, but this is a jasper pyramid that I have here. So this is very, very good for grounding. There's a lot of masculine energies with this. Jaspers tend to be very good with grounding. And specifically, this one really picks up on that just because it's a pyramid. And Also the colors of this jasper. There's a lot of red and orange and brown and white. So there's a lot of masculine energies coming in with this. Oh, right, fire. Right, fire. Now that I think of it, I was even feeling garnet for a second. I have a crystal garnet, but then I didn't end up feeling to pull it. And I feel like part of the reason is I was supposed to draw 4 crystals precisely. Okay, but these 3, okay, so you have that grounding factor. Grounding can really help protect your aura and your vibrational field. And then these 3, this one specifically has a lot to do with psychic protection and protection with empathy, psychic abilities as well, but especially going along with these 2, I'm going to say that I drew this specifically for the psychic protection aspect, and also even because of the pyramid, how it's this grounding energy, which can also help with that. And then these 2 here, this is actually a piece of meteorite. So this is really good with absorbing negative energies. Obsidian also really good with absorbing negative energies, deflecting negative energies away from your space. And just protecting your aura, cleansing your aura. For some reason, they don't want me to touch your aura right now. So I'm going to ask them what's going on with that, because that has nothing to do with me. That's something to indicate almost something that is happening with you, or some intention that your guides have, something that your guides want to get across. In other words, there's a reason why they're not letting me touch your field. That has to do with some kind of message that they want to bring through. It also has to do with protecting your space. And I think that that's part of the message. There's a feeling of you, like some of these, like these crystals are kind of reflecting you. Just in the same way that your guides are kind of reflecting you. Okay, that's what's going on here. Okay, so this guide, she's not a higher aspect of you. And the guides coming in, they're not actual higher aspects of you, which is why they still feel like guides. They still feel separate from you. But they're trying to get across the feeling that they really reflect you. There's a feeling like there's a reflection of your personality in your guides. So your guides show you something about yourself. They tend to kind of mirror your personality. So in other words, you chose guides that are of a similar vibration to you. A similar kind of soul current of energy. And a lot of masculine energy coming in. Even with the female guide. It doesn't matter that she's female, she has a lot of masculine energy coming in. And there's a horse totem again and again and again. This has to do, it feels like, with expressing yourself and being free to express yourself and knowing yourself. There's this sense that you know yourself, that you've come a long way when it comes to knowing yourself and finding who you are and being grounded in that. And that's why there's this feeling of, like I said, these crystals are kind of reflecting you. It feels like your energy is a little bit closed off, naturally so, that you've developed that. But that's a very good thing. It feels like, um, to a degree, you have found yourself. I'm only saying to a degree just because we're on Earth. That's the only reason that I'm saying to a degree. So for Earth, you've found yourself to a good degree. There's this solid feeling, this grounded feeling. I know who I am, and just this present factor, this present energy, where you are present, you're in the moment. This is good. You can let go. Like the horse lets go. The horse allows himself to move forward. And the fire horse really sheds the old. Fire is very cleansing. Fire lets go. Fire looses things that are old, and it also makes way for new things. And also, like I said, I think I was specifically supposed to have 4 crystals, which is why I didn't end up grabbing the garnet, even though that would really have gone with this energy, as it turns out. Because garnet is definitely a very fire-based crystal. It has a lot of fire energy with it. But the number 4 is all about foundations. It's about building a solid foundation and knowing yourself and harmony with yourself, and also things like setting goals and completing them and just being sure-footed. That's really all what 4s are about. There's some energy that brings this through. So some extraterrestrial energy that I am tapping into here. I definitely feel some Syrian energies for sure. And Syrian energies tend to be very masculine. Pleiadian tends to be more feminine. Um, Syrians tend to be more masculine. There's a more masculine energy with that. And definitely feels like you have had some lives there. But this doesn't feel specifically like Sirius. Yeah, these guides don't feel Syrian. And you don't feel Syrian as far as like an origin. This might be something that I've never heard of or that I've never sensed. All the places that I would normally read people being from, or that I would think of, um, you're not from any of these places, the origin. I know there is a specific origin. Um, but I don't know if, um, Like, I'm not sure if they would be able to tell me where it is or not. I have to be just very open here. But it's somewhere with a very masculine energy and somewhere that I'm not really placing or thinking of, or I haven't heard of it before, which is the problem. I think I might not have heard of it before, so if it's not in my head, it wouldn't be as easy for them to give me a word that isn't in my head all the time. Definitely there are times when I've heard things that aren't in my head, but that's usually like a name or something like that. That's usually like the guide's name, in other words. Okay, but they're showing me a world with water. There's a lot of light. The sun is very different. The sun seems very, very bright, like almost like a white light, almost like a blinding light. Um, but not blinding, obviously, to the people that live there. But it feels very different. Their skin is different. Their eyes are very different. Their breathing is different. Doesn't really feel like a normal human, but they don't live in the water. So they're not like a Syrian race, like a Mer race. Okay, there's a feeling this place has light from multiple suns. That's part of the reason that it's so bright here. And everybody is very tranquil. They're taking in like a ton of energy all the time. And specifically masculine energy. The sun represents a more masculine energy. Space, the moon, that represents a more feminine energy. Darkness represents a more inward energy, more feminine energy. Light, the sun. This is a more masculine, more forward type of conscious energy versus an outward energy versus more inward or more subconscious or more subdued, more subtle, and just more inward. This is more outward, it's more apparent. And they are just taking this in 24/7. Um, it feels like there is a night, but it doesn't last very long. And their version of night is much brighter. It's not like mostly pitch black with some light shining here or there from like moonlight or something. This is it's like there's still energy coming from one sun all the time. But it does feel like the main sun, um, there are some hours where this is not shining directly onto all sides of the planet, the main sun. So it's not as bright. It feels like the other sun is further away. It still feels like a main sun, but it's further away. They're saying that there's a feeling it's part of another solar system. Um, that's what they're saying. This other sun is part of another solar system, but it's very nearby. Um, like closer than normal is what it feels like. And still shining onto the planet where it makes a direct impact, where you notice it. But this light, it feels like the planet is still able to flourish. Like it doesn't dry it out of water. So somehow it's still in this perfect placement, just like Earth. We're in this perfect placement. We're not too far from the sun. We're not too close to it. So there's a different type of life there, but it's still able to grow. It's still able to thrive. But this energy just feels very, very sure, very determined, but calm at the same time. Even though there's this fire, it's not, the thing is, this fire isn't out of anxiety, it's out of sureness. So even if I feel it like a fire, at the same time, it's going to feel sure. And so there's going to be this degree of calm and knowing yourself. Even if you act fast, even if you make changes quickly or move forward quickly, or even if you know what to do and you act right now, or even if you're passionate about something and you feel something in a fiery way or in a determined way. And this is an energy that's supporting you right now. But your whole life, this has been there to a degree. But I feel like you've come more and more into yourself and you've added that grounding factor, that sureness of who you are more and more. And on this planet, it feels like they are just being themselves. There's this feeling almost like on their planet, they don't really have an exact individual purpose exactly like we do here on Earth. Not in the same way, anyway. It feels more cosmic. Um, it feels more community based, like almost like um, a collective purpose or a collective mission. And everybody has their part, but at the same time, it's for a collective thing. And they feel kind of group oriented, almost like they're all part of the same soul family in a sense. It's like they're so connected that they all know what they're doing together. And they're there to do this together. And it's more just like an energy that they sort of absorb, and then they're putting that out. And so they create this balance, sort of in space or in the universe, in their solar system, but also in the others, around them and further out. It just makes this ripple effect, and they're this balancing factor. So it's good for everybody that they are there and they are doing what they feel to be doing. They're doing their part, but they're just being themselves. They're just being their self. There's no specific individual thing that they are like exactly assigned to or confined to live by and in this boxed way. So in that sense, they're the horse as well. The horse moves with a group, and the horse feels very free and very determined, and he's fast moving forward. But at the same time, he just does what he feels. And he doesn't really have to do any one thing specifically unless he feels to. So it's really all about your feeling. And even though there's a lot of masculine energy there, still there's a lot of passion, fire. And that comes out, and follow that. And you know what to do when you follow that. It's like that is an insight. That's a pull or a push to do something, to do a specific thing. And that aligns you with your energy, and you're putting out this energy that you've absorbed and that you are meant to give out, that you're here to give. And you bring this balancing factor, but not so much by being one, by doing one specific thing. It's just by being who you are. You've absorbed all of this energy, this light energy, and you are sending it out. You're expanding and sending it out. You're expanding that light. And that's really your job. That's your calling, is just to send forth light. It doesn't have to be an exact, specific thing. And also, there's no failing if you don't do some specific thing. It doesn't feel like you've contracted to be like, I have to do this thing. I do feel like there are some specific things that you are meant to be learning, and also some specific energies that you're meant to be putting out and giving out. But I feel like that comes naturally to you. And I feel like as long as you're following your passion, that you're in the right place, and you're sure-footed, and you have this direction. But that feels almost intuitive, like a passion. And following your passion. It feels almost like your passion is linked to your intuition. So this place, I'm not going to get specifically, only because I don't feel like I know what the place is. I don't feel like I've ever heard of it before. So, but they have given a lot of specifics about the place and about the sort of being types that they are. Even this thing of you naturally being more closed off, even some of that has to do with all of the energies that you've absorbed from this other place and this these other lifetimes on this planet, in that place, because you've absorbed so much that you're more kind of protected naturally. You still have some of that left over, where you've come to Earth with more protection in some ways than a lot of people have in their auric fields. So there's just this feeling in general, like, you can't touch my aura. And that's a good thing, though. That's like, it's just like a natural kind of defense mechanism, but not in a negative way. That's actually a good thing to have on Earth, just in your auric field, to have some natural defenses kind of built up. Because when you come here, any natural defenses that you do have, they tend to kind of shrink or turn off or go down. And then people are a bit more vulnerable to things than they were before they came here, just because of how much lower this vibration here is. It's harder to withstand so much energy coming towards you. And so automatically your defenses kind of go down. So your defenses did go down, obviously, but just not as much as they would for most people. Okay, so that is all that your guides have to say for now. Thank you very much, Inner Fire, for allowing me to do this reading for you and to connect to your guides. And I truly hope that this reading benefits you. Thank you so much. Namaste.